The story begins with an unemployed man named Adam who loves spending his days reading strange, mysterious books. Remember this, it's going to be very important later. One day, a well-dressed man in a suit shows up at Adam's house and tells him that his wife, Elin, has inherited her brother's entire estate. Elin is shocked since she hadn't been in touch with that side of the family for years. But when Adam hears that fortune has suddenly smiled upon them, his face lights up with excitement. Within hours, the whole family packs up and moves into the luxurious mansion. The plan was simple. Fix the place up a bit, then sell it for a huge profit. Surrounded by expensive paintings, everyone started believing their days of poverty were finally over. That night, the mood was set for a celebration, but Elin refused. Frustrated, Adam went outside and pulled out one of his secret books. Suddenly, he felt like someone else was in the room. When he went to check, there was no one there. He thought maybe it was just his imagination from being tired. Meanwhile, their daughter Jeneth was asleep in her room when she felt someone cutting her hair. The next morning, she looked in the mirror. Her hair really was shorter. She blamed her little sister, but the younger one swore she didn't do anything. The matter was dropped. Later, Elin was cleaning the house when she noticed one of the paintings on the wall move slightly. She turned around, but everything looked normal. Still, a strange fear settled in her heart. She tried to shake it off and played with her daughter. Then suddenly, the basement door slammed shut on its own. Terrified, Elin went downstairs and one of the old cupboards creaked open by itself. Inside, she found Adam's toolbox and the same mysterious book. The moment she saw it, she realized what was happening, and the two of them got into a fierce argument. That night, their eldest daughter covered the creepy painting with a white cloth so she could finally sleep peacefully. But as soon as everyone fell asleep, someone started touching her hair again. She woke up in fear. No one was in the room. Then the covered painting began to move on its own. Screaming, she hid inside the closet. Her parents rushed in after hearing her cry, but by then, the white cloth had vanished. Enraged, Adam tore the painting apart, thinking it would end everything. But then, he heard a whisper in his ear. Adam went up to the attic, looking for something. There was only an old lantern in his hand, flickering on and off. Just then, a candle rolled across the floor and stopped near his feet. He picked it up and lit it. And in that moment, something strange appeared before his eyes. Something beyond human understanding. The next morning, when Adam woke up, he noticed a faint glow in the corner of his room. Using a mirror, he directed the light toward it, and suddenly a strange, horrifying image appeared on the wall. He quickly covered it with a white cloth and tied it up with a rope. Something had definitely happened the previous night. Something he didn't want anyone to see. But as soon as he went downstairs, the chair placed under that painting began to move on its own. From that day on, Adam couldn't sleep peacefully. Every night, he grew more restless. One night, he finally gathered his courage and went back up to the attic. The moment he untied the rope from the painting, his wife, Evelyn, heard the laughter of a child downstairs. Terrified, she stepped into the hallway with a flashlight in her hand. When she pointed the beam toward the corner, the eerie painting stood there perfectly still. She thought maybe she was imagining things, but then she felt as if a little boy was running behind her. Evelyn chased after him, but in the next instant, the boy disappeared, and the basement door slowly creaked open by itself. Evelyn peeked down, but that's when the real horror began. The same boy was now standing right behind her. At that very moment, their son, Nelson, felt an odd pull toward that strange painting. He saw the paint dripping from it onto his hand, shiny like mercury. Before he could make sense of it, loud thumping noises echoed through the room. Adam rushed in, and what he saw froze his blood. Somehow he managed to save his son, but then something clicked in his mind. He sprinted toward the basement, where Evelyn lay unconscious on the floor. As he picked up the flashlight, a dark, shadowy hand reached out from the darkness toward him. Shone the light again, but there was nothing there, only a hidden door on the wall. After so many terrifying incidents, the family fled the house that very night. While leaving, Evelyn suddenly remembered something. Her ancestors had once been involved in dark magic and occult research. Maybe that same force had now returned. Meanwhile, Janice stepped out of the basement, and from the shadows a small child peeked at her silently. as if calling her to come closer. Out of curiosity, Janice follows her, but the very next moment, she regrets her decision. A scream echoes from below. She rushes down and pulls her little sister out from inside the pipeline. But when both of them bend down again to look inside, there's nothing there. It's as if no one was ever there at all. But the real horror was just beginning. That strange painting they had left behind had somehow found its way back to their house. When Evelyn and Adam tried to uncover the truth behind that picture, they learned that a woman named Succubus, who was the wife of their cousin, had died. And ever since her death, mysterious murders had been happening throughout the village. The house, now known by her name, Succubus House, was actually newly built after their cousin's death. On the very first day, Evelyn had found an old book there. It mentioned a way to break the black magic, but it required a special object, something most precious to the spirit. That meant Evelyn's most beloved possession, which was likely hidden behind a secret door in the basement. Gathering their courage, Adam and Evelyn returned to the house once again. But after they left, the paints that once looked ordinary began to move on their own, as if they were alive. The figures drawn on the wall started to melt, and soon a face appeared, the face of Succubus. Meanwhile, Adam decided to take all the paintings out of the house and burn them. Evelyn went down to the basement and opened the secret door. Inside was an old chest, but it was locked. Suddenly, someone threw a key toward her. Terrified but determined, she picked it up and unlocked the chest. Inside were dozens of letters, love letters, and beneath them, a shining necklace that sparkled like a precious gem. It was the very object most dear to Succubus. But as soon as Evelyn lifted the necklace, the painting behind her slowly began to rise, as if something alive was awakening. The colors started melting again, and from within the painting, a dark shadow began to emerge. Over there, Adam heard a strange noise coming from upstairs. He went to check, but suddenly someone grabbed his throat tightly. He started struggling desperately. In the chaos, he smashed a painting off the wall and threw it to the ground with all his strength. That's when he heard his wife scream, and maybe now they finally understood. This wasn't just a ghost, but an unfinished story of revenge. Elin had been trapped in the basement, gasping for air as her breath started to fade. Adam pulled her out with all his strength. Both of them were trembling badly, but there was no time to waste. Those cursed paintings were still inside the house. Elin struck a match and set the gasoline on the floor ablaze. Flames shot up toward the sky, and both of them finally exhaled in relief. Adam wanted to say something. He wanted to tell her the truth about that night. But when he looked at Evelyn's face, he went silent. On their way back, Elin revealed that the moment she touched that necklace, everything became clear to her. The entire story of the succubus. Years ago at a party, the succubus had met her fiancé. Their eyes met, and their hearts connected instantly. They vowed to leave behind the chaos of this world and start a new life together. But fate had other plans. The succubus fell ill with a deadly disease. After losing his beloved, her fiancé was consumed by madness. In his grief, he used an ancient painting ritual to trap the succubus's soul inside a portrait. At first, everything seemed fine, but slowly his love began to fade, and he left the succubus alone in the basement. That betrayal turned her into a curse. She damned the entire bloodline so that every generation would suffer her pain. When they returned home, Adam decided it was time to tell the truth about that night. But before he could, his elder daughter Janice walked in, and the conversation was left unfinished. Meanwhile, something terrifying had already taken hold of Nelson. He was under the control of an invisible force, and he was about to attack his own sister. Fortunately, Evelyn and Adam arrived just in time and managed to save their daughter. But by then, Nelson's strength had become monstrous. So Adam locked him inside the room. There was only one option left: to complete the old painted ritual. Evelyn told Janice to leave the house, and no matter what happens, never come back. Then she and Adam closed the basement door, held hands, and began chanting the ritual. Time passed, but nothing happened. Evelyn started to think maybe they'd missed a step. That's when Adam picked up the same necklace from the table and took off his shirt. Then he told Evelyn the truth. That night he had encountered the spirit of the succubus, and it had probably possessed him. The succubus wanted someone to stay with her forever, and now she wanted Adam to be her soulmate. Before Evelyn could react, Adam took his own life to finally free the spirit. But the story didn't end there. Suddenly, loud banging came from upstairs. Nelson had completely lost control. Evelyn, trembling, recited the final part of the ritual. As she spoke the last words, the paint on the walls began to melt, and in the air appeared a shadow shaped like a bride. Dressed in white, the succubus smiled. It seemed like everything was over. But the truth was, her spirit was still trapped inside Nelson's body. He almost strangled Evelyn to death when suddenly their young son came home. Without hesitation, grabbed a lighter from the floor and threw it straight at the old painting. In an instant, the painting was engulfed in flames, and with it, the succubus's spirit turned to ashes forever. Nelson regained consciousness, but before taking his final breath, he sacrificed himself to save everyone. His body was left alone in that same old basement where this terrifying story had begun. So with this, the story ends here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also subscribe to this channel for more horror stories like this.